Om. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Vishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Yomavda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmam Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. So I began the class before I admitted you all from the waiting room into the class. I was like, why they are not opening their video, And then I said, I'm going to begin this class in any case. So I began, but I was alone there because you were waiting in the waiting room. Okay, dokie. So we are here for our last class on the Drsya. We begin today on verse 43 and 44. It says that as such characteristics of water and sweetness, fluidity and color and coldness appear to inhere in the waves, and then also in the forms of which the waves are the substratum. So also existence, consciousness, and bliss, which are the natural characteristics of consciousness, appear to inhere in the Vyavaharika Jiva on account of its relation with consciousness, and through it, similarly, inhere in the Pratibhasika Jiva. Okay, so we have been closing the last verse, and the author was just wrapping it up and explaining and making further explanations or commentaries on these three jivas, the Paramarthika Jiva, Vyavaharika Jiva, and Pratibhasika Jiva. The previous verse was talking about the Paramarthika Jiva as the one who knows its identity in Brahman as Brahman. And this Paramarthika Jiva is the only reality. And everything he sees as Brahman. He sees the Namarupas of everyone else as mere appearance in Brahman, okay? Meaning to say he knows it to be illusory. Now this verse we are just beginning here. No, okay, I was waiting before Mark, now it's coming. Let me admit Mark. Okay. We are on our G5. As such characteristics of water. So we have the water may have different characteristics. In fact, it does have sweetness, fluidities, and coldness, freshness. So water, unless it is applied some heat to it, it's always cool and tastes a little bit sweet, unless it's some other elements are added to that, and such as salt in the salt water. And it is fluid. It's never rigid or stuck. It moves downwards every time, always. So these are characteristics were inherent. They inhere to water, but it appears to be inherent to the waves, and it appears to be inherent to the forms of which the waves are the substratum. So we have water as the real fundamental essential nature, and the water although has some sweetness, it quote unquote, it transfers or it lends its characteristics to what? To the waves and to the foam. So now we have water transferring its characteristics to the ocean, to the wave, and to the foam. So these characteristics, they are inherent to water, okay? But they appear inherent in the ocean, in the wave, and in the foam. So likewise, being in that case, the water, the substratum, the same characteristics are going to be there on those superimposed namarupas, such as wave and foam. So likewise, Satchitananda, Brahman, existence, consciousness, of limitless nature, bliss, Satchitananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, which are the natural characteristics of what? Of Brahman. So what are the natural characteristics of Brahman? Again, Brahman is not really made by attributes or qualities. We can stretch the meaning of the word characteristics as its intrinsic nature. So the nature of Brahman is existence, consciousness, and limitlessness. Okay, so being the nature of Brahman, naturally this is transferred to Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagata, to put it on another language. Okay, so we have the fundamental, essential nature of Satchitananda, of Brahman, consciousness, existence, bliss. And then everything that is made out of a gold, it's going to have the same characteristics of gold, regardless of any other impurities within the gold. Anything else is going to have even the same proportions in that case. But here, what's important to know is that those characteristics or those essential nature of the water was transferred to the ocean, to the wave, and to the foam. And likewise, the essential nature of Brahman is somewhat, so to speak, transferred to Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagata. So, and then it says it's inherent also in the Vyavaharika Jiva. Why? Because it's made out of Sakshin. It's made out of consciousness. So it is associated, it's related to Sakshi. Chaitanya. So its relation with consciousness makes it naturally transferable to Vyavaharika as Vyavaharika Jiva, essential nature, okay? And the same thing is the Pratibhasika Jiva. So the Pratibhasika Jiva, which is a very subtle subject kind of experience and identity, is still possible only because of consciousness. So consciousness is transferring a certain degree of reality to the dreamer and the dream, okay? But the dreamer and the dream, two eyes appear to be, no, this is not real. So the real thing is the Pratibhasika, the Vyavaharika Jiva, the waker through the body-mind. So, but in any case, they are both dreams. The Vyavaharika Jiva lives within the Ishvara's Maya's dream, and then the Pratibhasika Jiva lives within the dream of the Jiva. And he did not mention anything of Paramarthika Jiva. Why? Because Paramarthika Jiva is consciousness. So there's no need to say, and so Paramarthika Jiva also has inherently the nature of Brahman. So it was not added there because Pratibhasika Jiva was in the previous verse presented as what? As consciousness, the one who knows, I'm not the form, I'm not the ocean, I'm not the wave, I'm pure, limitless water. So the Pratibhasika Jiva knows its true nature, identity to be Brahman. Therefore, it's not mentioned here. But the byproduct, of disassociation of consciousness with Maya brings about the Vyavaharika Jiva and brings about the Pratibhasika Jiva, but both inherently, they are what? They are Satchitananda. So that's the meaning here. So it's again presenting from a different, slightly different angle, the fact that everything made out of gold is gold and gold alone. So we are made out of consciousness. We can only be consciousness. And it's all a question of understanding and knowing and claiming it. You know? Let's see what Swami Ji brings to us here. He says, why is it said that Vyavaharika Jiva and Pratibhasika Jiva are Mithya and Paramartika Jiva is Satya? While it's easy to accept that the dream Jiva is Mithya, it's difficult to accept that the waker Jiva is also Mithya. The author says that Paramartika Jiva alone is its own Satchitananda, whereas the Vyavaharika Jiva does not have this independently. So the Vyavaharika Jiva knows that I am, a wave, believes I am the wave, and therefore I don't claim my free independent nature as water. I stay as wave. The Paramartika Jiva is the one lending Satchitananda to the Chidabhasa, because in both cases, the Vyavaharika and the Pratibhasika, the awaker and the dreamer, they are Chidabhasa, they are reflected consciousness. So we know that reflect light, whatsoever reflecting medium, it's going to produce reflected light. And this reflected light, fundamentally, essentially, is made of what? Of rays of light. Fundamentally, reflect light is light. So likewise, the Chidabhasas in both of its states, as the awaker and as the dreamer, they are borrowing, they are receiving consciousness from Satchitananda, of course, from original limitless consciousness. The author here gives a brilliant example to explain this sequential of borrowing or transferring of Satchitananda. Imagine a lake or an ocean. Upon the lake, there is a wave. There is a bubble upon the wave. The attributes of the water are borrowed by the wave and are given to the bubble and so on. In this example, water is the Paramartika Jiva. The wave is the Vyavaharika Jiva. And the bubble is the Pratibhasika Jiva. Very nice. So the wave is more illustrating a symbol of the Jiva who feels like I am independently existing here. And the bubble is like, it's really a dream, it's a fantasy. It's the Pratibhasika Jiva. Water has three intrinsic attributes, liquidity, as we say, and coolness to the touch, and sweetness to the taste. These three attributes of water pervade the wave. So it's the essential nature of the water, and of course, water is going to pervade those other namarupas. So it's going to pervade the wave. The small bubble on top of the wave also has the same three attributes. Water does not give the three attributes directly to the bubble. This is also very interesting, very nicely put. The water is not giving its attributes direct to the bubble, to the foam. It's doing it indirectly. It's lending its nature to the ocean. The ocean lends its nature to the wave, and the wave is going to lend its nature to the foam or to the bubbles once it becomes foamy, It does not give its three attributes direct to the bubble. Water lends the attributes to wave. The wave, in turn, lends them to the bubble. Exactly as in this example, we experience all the three attributes / natures of Brahman, which is here represented by the Paramartika Jiva. We are the Paramartika Jiva that is similar to the water in the analogy. The Vyavaharika Jiva is like the temporary wave, and the Pratibhasika Jiva is like a small but very, very temporary bubble. Those things that appear, disappear, the Namarupa, they just appear and disappear. That's why he puts the example of the Pratibhasika Jiva, because the Pratibhasika Jiva, it is there, but immediately it disappears because it's just, fleeting projections now without much of structure, not even subject to our memory. Yeah? So memorization. The Vyavaharika Jiva is like a temporary wave, and the Pratibhasika Jiva is like a still more temporary bubble. So it lasts a little longer. Huh? No, it lasts longer, the Pratibhasika Jiva. The example is described in this verse, and the teaching is explained in the next verse. Okay, so we are closing, literally closing with the Drsya. Hello, Mark, are you with us?
Hi, Alindo. Yeah, my internet's unstable a little bit, though, so I'll keep the camera off.
Yes, please. So the following verse, the 44, that was put together in the other document. Similarly to the example cited, I am original water, who is the Sakshi Chaitanya, the Paramartika Jiva, and whose intrinsic nature is Satchitananda. I'm always existent, and I do not have birth or death. I claim immortality if I claim I am water. So very simple. The teachings are always the same. The analogies are the same. So as we can see, the water is always there, but those names and forms, such as wave and the bubble, they appear and disappear. So likewise, our true nature is consciousness, existence of limitless nature. So we exist at all times, and we exist independently, meaning to say, I do not depend on my body, because I am the only source of existence that somehow appear to lend existence to Namarupas. So we need to understand this kind of analogies, and so that we can understand that if we want to have the immortality, because no bubble enjoys its mortality, the waves also do not enjoy to be bound by time and die at the shore, at the beach, on the sand, on the rocks. So none of those apparent Namarupas enjoy this time-bound aspect, of those phenomenal objects. So the only way to transcend this sense of mortality is to get right our identity, our true identity nature, to understand that I am the water. Therefore, let the wave come and go, let the bubble appear and disappear. I remain as the water, the only source of all waves and bubbles. You understand, Claudio? It's all very, very simple. And there is nothing more painful than this identity with the Namarupa and the notion that I was born and I will die. So the notion that I was born and I will die is the most afflicting misconception experienced by all human jivas. So we want to solve the most fundamental problem, the most fundamental fear of every human being, which is the sense of limitation imposed by time. Space as well imposes certain limitation, but time is something that human beings have a hard time to accept, although towards the end of one's life, it's more difficult to extract, pleasures. And then one starts saying, okay, so whatever, everyone has to die. But still, I was there with my dad, 93, and I can still see the attachment to that body, because the human jiva, he believes that if I lose this body, I lose my conscious existence. You understand? So we are attributing conscious existence to the body, and we are just turning things upside down, and we don't see that I am the conscious existence source who has produced somehow, with the help of Mr. Maya and Ishwara, has produced this body, and this body is getting old, and now it's time to leave it behind, because I am beyond birth and death. So this is the only way we can solve the human problem, the most fundamental human problem, which is the idea of time to its existence, time to its existence. Okay. I claim immortality if I claim I am water, and if I claim I am the wave, meaning to say the Vyavaharika Jiva, I have problems. The life conditions of the wave depend on the wind and not on itself. So the waves are going to depend on the winds. So have you seen some videos showing the ocean, but far, far out there in the ocean, that usually is moved and has a lot of waves. Sometimes there is no wind whatsoever, and that becomes almost like a lake, a mirror-like lake, flat, that one has a hard time to believe. You understand? Why? Because the waves, they depend on air, moving air, winds. So the waves cannot really rely on themselves. No, I'm self-contained. I know whenever I need to wave, to move around, I just begin a wave. No, the wave depends on other factors. So, like the wind, as example. Similarly, the life conditions of the Vyavaharika Jiva depends on what? Wind. And what is wind beautifully put here? Karma. So my life conditions depends on my prarabdha karma, which depends on my sanchita karma, which depends on my agami karmas. So this wind is just producing again and again adverse prarabdha karmas, favorable prarabdha karmas, more adverse prarabdha karma, and sometimes it's a collective, universal prarabdha karma that can be bad for everyone with no exception. You understand? So we depend on this kind of wind, and the wind is blown by Maya Ishwara on account of all living creatures in this planet. The situation is still worse if I claim that I am the bubble. If I identify with my fleeting dreams, and then I'm even more and more subject to destruction from moment to moment. If I take the status of the bubble, claiming the water status is wise, because the wind does not affect the water. The karma does not affect consciousness. Karma is going to affect the mind, the body-mind complex, but karma is not going to affect consciousness. Consciousness is before or beyond karma. And karma comes into place once Ishvara projects the body-mind complex, and then the interaction is going to produce cause and effect, and karma is going to take place. So, but I'm beyond, I'm before or beyond the beginning of actions and its results. Therefore, I do not depend on anyone of karma, and I'm not here to 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 open a saving account of punya with Maya and just keeping doing actions to produce good winds. What are the good winds? Punya karma. No, I don't, because one gets tired of doing actions to produce good results. You understand? So I want to be free and independent, not depending on Maya Shwara. Therefore, I should claim I am the Paramarthika Jiva. I should not claim I am Vyavaharika Jiva, and much less a Pratibhasika Jiva. Yeah? I mean, this thing of Pratibhasika Jiva, it's in this context here, seems to be a little bit out of place. But I was in contact with a group of people in the USA that they used to believe that the mind can create reality. Okay, it was a period of time that I was relating to this field. Mind creates reality. Mind creates reality, and they were living on the Pratibhasika level, yeah? And dreaming, fantasizing, and trying to produce reality by the power of focusing or thinking or imagining the life I want to live. Yeah? But they were forgetting that they need to most importantly, to do actions, because actions are going to produce the results. If one remains only on the dream level, chances are that nothing is going to be manifest. And the funny thing is, it is like the dream in the awakened state. And there was one guy there that he used to be such a dreamer, all the time dreaming and focusing and believing that mind over matter would produce that reality. And one time I went to visit him, and I looked around, his place was so trashy, it was so bad, so ugly. He had a piece of land with an old something there, RV, or, and everything was dirt. And he was all the time doing his focusing, dreaming kind of exercise. And then I think he realized that I was a little bit shocked to see the surrounding. He said, you know what? All of this you see around here, you see this one? This is not my reality. My reality is in here. This is my reality. You understand? Don't be misguided to believe that this is my reality. And then I was like, oh my God, And now I see this Pratibhasika Jiva, which seems to be a little bit out of place here, but there are people who live in the Pratibhasika Satyam, dreaming and not doing much in order to manifest those dreams, So
although it's he might have some spiritual goal, he thinks probably of it as a sadhana, but actually it's really tamasic. It's fantasizing, right?
Yeah. Fantasizing, fantasy is a tamasic kind of characteristic, The dreamer, he keeps dreaming, but does not really move the energy beyond the fantasy of it, Yeah, it's there's not much to it. People, they fall easily for this because most people are lazy, and then they buy those books, they sign into those courses, and then when you see they are doing all kinds of exercise, try to manifest. I mean, here where I live, I relate to people who say that, oh, I have to manifest. So it's a lot of new age people here still talking in terms of how to manifest, what I want, now I'm going to manifest this and that. They all want to manifest a lot of money, and possibly good health as well. But anyhow, it's tamoguna.
And it's also not it's also not understanding the environment as Ishvara. It's not devotional, really.
Yeah.
It's all ancient Jiva.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm here to just get what I want. And I don't want to give much, I want to extract, get. Yeah? And I was going to say as well that the only element of truth in these concepts about thinking positively is that if you think positively, you're going to develop a positive personality, and it has a nicer vibe to it, and it's going to attract more positive people. So you're going to be surrounded by more positive people, but it does not go beyond that. You understand? So you think negatively, you're going to attract negative people who think negatively as well. Yeah? But that does not mean that you are creating your reality. You are just vibrating a certain way, and you're going to find resonance or synchronicity with people who vibrates more or less on that level. Yeah? But it's good to think positively, but you should never lose touch with reality. And the thing about thinking positively, it often leads people to lose touch with reality as well. You know, I don't know if you guys have observed that. This Paramartika Jiva is called Sakshi in this verse. I, the Sakshi, I am Satchitananda. I lend my nature to the Vyavaharika Jiva, which is temporary. Chidabhasa associate with a temporary body. So nice. He breaks down the Jiva, the Chidabhasa, as what? As the body, which is bound by time, and that reflects consciousness, at least on the conscious level, which is bound by time as well. And then it boom, and then it shrinks, so to speak, into the body of vasanas, the tendencies, causal body, to become another Chidabhasa in due time. And through the Vyavaharika Jiva, the very same Satchitananda is giving to the Pratibhasika Jiva. The waker's mind alone gives consciousness to the dream body. So the concept that the waker lends consciousness to the dreamer. A waker produces the dreamer. The subtle body is going to lend sentience to the physical body. So the physical body is inert matter, but the subtle body is going to lend apparent sentience to the apparent matter called the body mind. So it's the same thing. Consciousness does not lend sentience directly to the physical body. It first lends to the subtle level, to the subtle body, and then the subtle body is going to vivify and animate and producing this reflected consciousness at the physical level, body-mind level. Anything else?
I do have a question about that, because I do my understanding has been that subtle body lends to physical, to gross body. But then it seems to say that the Vyavaharika, which I think of as the transactional gross level, lends to the Pratibhasika, which I consider to be more subtle. So it seems to be opposite.
Well, because it is cyclical. So we have consciousness, and then consciousness grossifies to become the Hiranyagarbha, the mental universe with all and every factors there, all the jivas and so on. And then it manifests as the physical material world with all the jivas and namarupas. So now the jiva in the awakened state, it's not deprived of its mind, but it's mind in action, mind associated with the physical body. And this mind is going to drop impressions from previous experience in the mental level, which allows the jiva to dream while sleeping or to dream awake. But they are how you say, impressions derived by the Vyavaharika, which still has the mind, because the Vyavaharika is not deprived of its mind. The mind needs to be associated with the physical body to create the Vyavaharika Jiva. And then it can interact with the physical world. Why? Because it has a physical instrument, which is the physical body. But all the time it comes from the subtler to the more dense and then to the most dense. So when the physical body is vivified and animated by the mental body, the subtle body, so we're gonna have a body now that has this alliance between mind and body. That's why we call body-mind complex, or body-mind construct, okay? So we are not deprived of our subtle body. Our subtle body is functioning, our body, our physiological systems, our sense organs, the organs of action, everything is being done by this mental body, this subtle body present. But when he says that the Vyavaharika is going to lend, its existence, it means to say it's going to produce the raw material so that another phenomenon occurs, which is a dreaming state, and the dream occurs in the middle of the night. But as I was speaking a little bit, there is the awaker dreamer as well, who lives, and all those imagination, those fantasies, they come from the Vyavaharika in its interaction with the real physical material world.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Verse 45. With the disappearance of the form in the wave, its characteristics such as fluidity, etc., merge back into the wave. Again, with the disappearance of the wave in the water, these same characteristics merge back as before in the water. So it comes from the water and it returns to the water. It comes from consciousness, and everything resolves itself in consciousness as consciousness. This is the analogy, okay? Everything comes from water, the foam, the ocean, the ocean. I'm adding the ocean, the ocean, the wave, and the foam. But all these three principles, they are resolved back into water the same way. Those body-mind, the Vyavaharika Jiva, the Pratibhasika Jiva, and even the deep sleeper, which not appearing in this analysis of experience, all of them are resolved in consciousness, in Satchitananda, in Brahman. So if we know everything resolves into consciousness, and this resolution, it occurs every night when we go to deep sleep. You understand? So deep sleep is the closest thing to a final resolution, a total resolution, so to speak, because and that's why it's not appearing here as a sleeper jiva. You understand? So prana jiva, or howsoever we could put in terms here. Yeah. So this deep sleeper, okay, it's there. We know it's there, but it's substantial. It does not really have much of a structure on which to have experience and hold whatsoever memory of this experience. But fundamentally, even the deep sleeper is made out of Satchitananda. So the dreamer, the awaker, and the deep sleeper, they all resolve back into what? Into Satchitananda, into consciousness. If they come from consciousness, the three states, from Paramatmika Jiva, the Vyavaharika Jiva, and the Pratibhasika Jiva appear, and then the Pratibhasika resolves back into Vyavaharika when we remember, oh my God, it was just a dream. And then the Vyavaharika Jiva resolves back into Paramatmika Jiva, meaning to say Satchitananda in consciousness, the true nature identity of everything and everyone. Okay, the author now is going into the reverse order. Previously, he talked about the three attributes of the water, beginning from the water, that go into the other namarupas that came out of water, such as the ocean, the wave, and the bubble. Suppose that the bubble bursts or resolves, dies. What happens to those three attributes of the bubble, of the foam? Okay, taste, liquidity, and coolness. So they, where they go, they don't disappear. They just merge back into the ocean, into the wave in that case. The attributes are not destroyed. Only the namarupa called the bubble is destroyed. Okay, the nature of the bubble is water. So the nature of the bubble was not destroyed. The nature of the body mind with its characteristics is not really destroyed. You know, the true fundamental essential need is not destroyed. Only those attributes which are inherent only to the body-mind complex. Okay, those are destroyed, but they are not destroyed forever. They are destroyed temporarily because they go back. They are retaining the causal body to appear again as the body-mind construct of the next experiencing agent that comes into play. So the attributes are not destroyed when the bubble bursts because they are not the attributes of the bubble. The attributes remain. The nature of the bubble remains with the wave. When the wave resolves or gets dissolved, the attributes of the wave are not destroyed because the attributes here, it refers to the essential true nature. Not really, but it's the attributes, okay? Characteristics of this water, okay? They are not destroyed because it was transferred from the water to the waves, from the waves to the foam, but they go back to its source, no? So the condition, meaning to say the water that is obtained in the wave and the water that is obtained in the bubble remains the same after the resolving of the wave into the bubble and the bubble into water or ocean. In the same way, when the dream jiva resolves, the Satchit Ananda, which is the true nature of the dreamer, never gets destroyed, but it appears as the awaker jiva. So now the awaker jiva appears as what? As the entity, but its true intrinsic nature is Satchitananda. And at the time of the dissolution of the awaker, so it could be said to be in deep sleep or at the moment that we leave the body, when the body-mind construct dies, the dissolution, either in the night with a good deep sleep or at the very end of our run here. So this dissolution does not destroy, the true nature of the Jivatma, but it remains with what? With Sakshi Chaitanya, with consciousness, okay, which is the Paramatmika Jiva. And the author elaborates a little more in the next verse, which is the last verse. With the disappearance of Pratibhasika Jiva, the Vyavaharika Jiva, existence, consciousness, and bliss, which are its characteristics, merge in the Vyavaharika Jiva. When that also disappears in Sakshin consciousness, these characteristics finally merge in consciousness. So the same concept. So we already anticipate this commentary. Let's see what Swami is going to say here. So the last verse, he says, when the dream Jiva resolves upon awake from the dream, and Satchitananda, the Satchitananda that was present in the dreamer, the Satchitananda does not disappear and it was not destroyed. It remains present as the awaker Jiva. The I am is common to both Jivas. So in the dream state, there is a dreamer who says, I am having this and that experience. And then that I, the aham, the ego is still there, okay? And it's transferred to the awaker. But the true nature of the dream and the awaker is not really the mental content of the dreamer and the awaker. The true nature is Satchitananda, okay? So this I am, is common to both. So the Paramatika Jiva has to understand this I am, that this I am is not the dreamer, is not the awaker. This I am is Satyam. And anything added to this I am is Mithya. So now we have to understand what is this I am. This I am, when it's under the spell of ignorance, it is Mithya, it is the ego under the spell of ignorance. When this aham, this I am, is under the knowledge, the power of self-knowledge, when it's properly resolved in its fundamental, free and independent nature. So this I am is Satyam, this I am is Brahman, this I am is Paramatika Jiva. So, and then the nama rupas superimposed on this I am is Mithya, meaning to say the state of the awaker and the state of the dreamer. Those two entities of the dreamer in the awakened state and the dreamer in the dream state, they are just superimposition. They are Mithya, okay? They are Mithya from the standpoint of Paramatika Jiva. The awaker Jiva is dissolved during 3 states. The dream state, these 3 states are deep sleep and death. And okay, I forgot to mention before, I said that there are 2 ways to resolve the Vyavaharika Jiva. One is in deep sleep and the other is with the death of the body, and there is also the death or the dissolution of the universe, which is the pralaya, which is a temporary state as well. So there are 3 states that they are all resolved in Maya or in consciousness, okay? At the time of deep sleep, at the time of death, or at time of total dissolution, meaning to say pralaya, which are temporary states, the awaker Jiva is dissolved temporarily. Upon Videha Mukti, the awaker Jiva is permanently dissolved and remains as Sakshi Chaitanya, one with the ocean of Brahman. So who wants to be given the state of Videha Mukti? So Jiva Mukti sounds a little bit better because I still remain associated with the body, mind, in the world. But how about to claim my identity as Videha Mukti, meaning to say I'm no longer, once my parabada, once the winds of this parabada is exhausted, I remain in the ocean of Brahman as Brahman, never to identify again with a Namarupa. So who wants to have the status of being Videha Mukti? Only the one who has understood the futility of experience, of living in duality. One has gained the fundamental knowledge with the knowledge by which all other possible knowledge become irrelevant. And then one says, okay, I'm okay. I take my identity as a Videhamukti, meaning to say the one who has dissolved in consciousness or in Brahman as Brahman. I lost the taste for duality and for experience. Okay, so that's the principle. It's not that there is a Videra Mukta anywhere, because as we know, Brahman is not an entity who is experiencing its fullness. Okay, so the fullness of Brahman can only be experienced by the Jiva Mukta or the Paramarthika Jiva once there is this clear understanding of one's true fundamental nature as the water, not as the wave and the bubbles. The Saksha Chaitanya does not and cannot be resolved into anything further, okay? So when you come to resolving everything in Satchitananda and existence, consciousness, bliss, there is nothing further you can resolve. Why? Because Brahman is the essential nature of this universe. So when you try to bring everything to its essential nature, it comes to a point that if you try to resolve beyond that essential nature, and then you are going to find an incredible impossibility, because the essential nature is that from where the entire phenomenal world comes, springs from. And from there, we need to have a source. And the source is that you cannot go beyond. Okay, we know that from several other analogies, in being the water of the ocean, a good one as well. So we have the water, we have the ocean, we have the waves, we have the foams. You say, okay, so now I want to transcend the water. So how are you going to transcend the water? So water, you can transcend only if you jump into Vedanta and you say, okay, I got a point here. I'm going to transcend the water into consciousness, because we know that water comes from consciousness. But within this analogy, you cannot go beyond the essential nature of those subsequent phenomena called the ocean, the water, and the wave, and the bubbles. You understand? So we cannot go beyond consciousness. We cannot go beyond existence. Existence is that which is somehow concedes existence to all Namarupas, and consciousness is that from where the conscious beings, of media of this universe, enjoy a certain level of human consciousness or animal consciousness. So we cannot go beyond that. If you believe in those beyond, you're going to be on the level of the mind. The mind can go to beyond and beyond levels of purity, of subtleties, and purification and refinement. So that you can say, but this is mithya. This is not, once you go beyond, and then you come to the bottom, you'll say, now everything is just conscious, and then you can't go beyond. You understand? Because it's the essential nature of all states. Therefore, one should abide as Sakshi Chaitanya and not get carried away by the various roles or namarupas that come and go in life. Life, the play, goes on in me. I am Sakshi Chaitanya, consciousness. As the Jiva, the various mithya roles should be played to the fullest and in the appropriate manner and time. But I, Sakshi Chaitanya, which is Satyam, the only reality, that from where nothing can be further resolved. I am the true nature of the Jiva and Ishvara and Jagata. This should never be forgotten. This is the result of Drsya Viveka, the discrimination between the seer from everything, that comes within the scope of the seer. Light of consciousness illumining and revealing the world of phenomenal objects. Okie dokie. So we have the summary here. So I leave it to you, homework for everybody. And then one of these days, I'm going to ask some questions about this summary. How about that? Just kidding. So we begin doing Panchadas twice a week. Okay. So any question, anything to be said?
Thank you for going through this Prakarana Grantha with us. It's a beautiful one and really enriched understanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for participating. Okay. We meet again next Monday with Panchadasi, Ishwara willing. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you. When I said Ishwara willing, it popped in my mind, but I had begun with the Purna. I say the winds of Maya allowing, the winds of Maya, willing, and our Parabdha Karma, if it is favorable, we meet again this coming Monday. Namaste.
Many thanks, Arvindo.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.